She's drunk. My wife's computer blew up a couple weeks ago, so I set up an older one we had around as a replacement. She couldn't get her email working, so I was trying to get it up and running. I sent a test email from my laptop to her email account and went to see if it went through to her email account. While I'm looking for the test message, I see messages from men wanting to meet her on some social site. The one I looked at thoroughly was some guy about 150 miles away looking to hook up with her. She had already told him that it wasn't far, and his reply was to get together for a drink. Message was dated June 8, 2021. Recently she has been out overnight 2 or 3 times with some of her older female friends from our church, or so she says that's who it was. Also, recently, she has added text messaging to our cell phone account. When I confronted her, she was defensive, saying that she always ignores and deletes those messages. That it's nothing, that being married is in her profile. I got angry, instead of thinking straight, and left for a while. Came back, cooled off, thinking, well, okay, if there's nothing to hide, she will give me access to her account. Then she tells me that she deleted the account. So next I go to this site and sign up to check out what goes on there. All kinds of flirting and hookups going on here. I've never had reason to distrust her in the past, but if you put these things together, and my gut alarms go off loud, I can probably verify with her friends at church. I know them too. I've always had access to her Facebook account and email, and I've looked at the accounts. Just never had a reason to be really snoopy and curious before this. She says she got the site from a female friend that we met together. She was our family photographer. But my wife knows her far better than I'll be checking credit records as soon as I finish this post. I don't think I'm going to screw around with much proof here, just enough to satisfy me. I don't think I need to. I'm pretty much her sole supporter. She gets some child support and Social Security disability. We are pretty broke, no kids with me, only one from her ex-husband, 9 years old. Own no house, have not much money, drive 20-year-old cars. So, if I just walk out, I don't lose much. Also, must do research into divorce litigation too, to see what she can take from me if I should just walk out. Well, something else just happened. I was going to our cell phone provider's website to see how to get the call records after my last post, and she walks into my man cave where I am posting here and says she needs to go to the ER. No fake, left side body numbness and chest tightness. I just arrived home from the hospital. They are keeping her overnight. They don't think it's serious, but want to do a bunch of tests to be safe. So, guess who has her cell phone? And all night long to check out her email and Facebook. Well, been digging for about 2 hours. Nothing on the text messaging on the phone. She must have dumped the texts, if any. Only 5 on there and were all ads from stores we go to. However, also called a few numbers on hers that didn't have names to go with them in the contact list. 3 numbers. All men I don't know. Checked the cell phone records. Found 2 more numbers. Both men. Cell records also show 598 texts last billing cycle. Wasn't texting me, that's for sure. Also right now have checked 12 social networking sites, and she has profiles on 6 of them. She ought to not be using the same password for everything. As of right now, I am logged into and monitoring her Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn accounts to see what happens. I've managed to connect one number with a name, and guess what? He's on LinkedIn, go figure. Also am currently monitoring her email account as well. Not too shabby for only 2 hours work. One of you mentioned to dig deep into Facebook. Where should I look? I checked friends, messages, but nothing bad so far. I got that blown up laptop right next to me on my workbench. I already checked it, and it's the motherboard fried, so I'll be pulling the hard drive tonight too. I think I can rig a connection to another computer. Never thought all that playing with old PC could come in so handy. No cam on the PC she has now, the blown up one does. Maybe something on the hard drive from that. We'll see. Still digging through the Facebook friend history. She's got 12 friends here. Most women, but more than a few men. If I even think she's taken it physical in any way, it's over. Any kiss, any hug, any petting is direct stepping stones to bonding. And with AIDS, she's playing selfish games with my life. Before AIDS, I used to think that you could reconcile after extramarital bonding, but now it includes the possibility of a deadly infection with no cure. That changed my mind. I'll be getting tested anyways after I resolve this. Who knows how long this has been going on? I sure don't as of yet. The one I got a name with from the phone is in Chicago, 100 miles. I work 10 to 14 hours a day. Plenty close enough. If no bonding, I'm not sure yet. Have to find out all I can first, then decide. All accomplished except old hard drive check. Keylogger installed. Also created full administrator account on her computer. And knocked her account back to standard user. So she can't do anything without my knowing about it. Also forces her to get my permission to delete anything. Even better, can hide the full administrator account, so she doesn't even know it exists. Even goes one more step better. I can access the keylogger and the administrative account from my laptop. No problem. I'm having some serious mood swings here, vengeful to sad, and happy and angry all over the place. Forgot to update. My wife is still in the hospital from yesterday's little adventure. Still getting tests. Please go back and check rest of thread for details. This craziness began for me wed. Night. A messenger is a female friend that I don't know, so I'm just going to see what she says. Wife is back from hospital. They couldn't find anything wrong, I guess. A little stressful reaction to whatever is going on here. I have done a thorough search of all the social network pages I know about that she has an account with. Surprisingly, nothing to see here. Nothing that isn't innocent. Nothing out of the ordinary from Facebook monitoring. Wife claims nothing going on. She has given me total transparency. I have changed all social network passwords to new ones that only I have. The same with her email account. I have also completed phone records check. With 3 exceptions, all the suspicious calls have been confirmed as innocent, having to do with a fender bender she had last month. Both insurance adjusters were kind enough to come here on their holiday weekend to show me their business call logs. Once I told them of my suspicions, all the numbers and times match. So far so good. I also checked with her friend about overnights. She and her husband both confirmed that wife was at their house with them both times. Things still to check. 1. Independently confirm her friend's assertion of being with her. 2. Check the 3 unexplained as of yet phone calls to men I don't know. There are 3 calls, only 1 time each, so this is probably innocent, but we'll still check it out. Phone records have been checked back a year. What a tedious job. 3. Check the texting. My cell company's online bill details only will let me see the number of texts, not what number they are going to. Anyone know how to find this out? Would it be on the paper bill, but not on the website's bill detail? 4. Check old computer's hard drive. I'll be getting the adapter I need on Tuesday. 5. Credit card statement check. Nothing to see here. All normal. I am fully aware that she could have accounts I don't know about. Checking the old hard drive should help me to find this out. The wife does not know I have the old hard drive. The wife does not know about the keylogger or my full admin account on her PC. My current thoughts, so far, nothing appears to be going on, however. She still received that email, answered it, and dumped the account. Still the big red flag. My current plan, make like I am satisfied of her innocence. Continue to monitor social networking. I have been thinking a lot about what to do, obviously. I have finally come to a decision here. I am going to do a 180. I will tell her she has 1 week to tell the whole truth. I will also tell her that if she does not, then I will leave. I will spend that week making preparations to do so. I have spent the last 4 days on this, and I can tell you for sure that I can't keep this up and still function on my job. I drive for a living, and my attention must be on the road. Month later, I went to my cell phone provider and got hard copies of the phone bills for June and July. These were the months with huge amounts of texting and double her normal number of phone calls. What I found was very interesting indeed. Of the 598 texts sent, about 85% went to 1 phone number. The people at the phone provider were also kind enough to give me a partial printout with some of the 58 picture messages shown incoming and outgoing. From these records, I was able to determine that she had been in continuous, literally continuous, contact with this jerk for 6 weeks, literally morning, noon, and night, with more than a few 2-hour phone calls mixed in while I was asleep. Mind you, that's only outgoing. The cell provider could only show me the numbers called, not the incoming texts or calls. Her excuse: bet you've heard this one before. His father was sick, and she was helping a friend out. Did I also mention that when I asked her about the huge number of texts, she left out that it was some other guy? Said they were all going to her sister and her friends. I've obviously only scratched the surface here on her online boyfriends. Forgot to mention that quite a few of these pic messages and texts went to another guy's phone number. If we couple these proven facts with the email message I saw, and her lies, I think we have a done deal here. But I will always wonder for the rest of my life about just how much she has successfully hidden. The STD test came back negative. What I am doing is this. I have given her about 3 weeks as of now to fess up everything. But she won't as of right now. A full 180 has been going on in the house, as I can't afford to walk out. I have cut off her phone and the internet. If she doesn't tell all by next week, I'll be filing for divorce. The papers are all set with my lawyer, and all I need to do is to call him to set things in motion. The reason for the delay is that I have to have a clear conscience about giving her full opportunity to tell the truth. Almost half a year later. Well, here we go. Things were quiet for a while. I've been watching closely, and she's been accepting of all of it. Complete transparency of everything. The wife wanted to go to MC, so we applied for the free program at our church. On October 26th, before we start the counseling, I'm looking at the Facebook account which I have complete control over, and which she hasn't touched in quite a while. I find a message from a local guy asking her if she's still on Facebook. Where's she been for the past 6 weeks? Complete with picture of his penis. I message this jerk back telling him he's busted and so is she. He unfriends and disappears fast. Though, I got his address and phone number in case I need it. I confront her, and she says she knows nothing about it. Never saw the pic. Right, never saw that pic. How many others sent? I ask who this piece of crap is. She says just someone who plays one of the FB games. I forget which one, unless it's called Send Photos to Other Men's Wives. Must a new one. Anyhow, I finally lose my temper completely at this obvious lie and make a huge mistake. I smacked her open-handed across the bottoms of her feet through the blankets while she's lying in bed lying to me about this. Wife calls cops. Then she comes apart completely upon discovering I will be arrested. What did she think they were going to do? Give me a little gold star. Anyways, she collapses completely emotionally, crying and blubbering uncontrollably. Even better is that the cop tells her she needs to straighten act out. Gives the cops the credit card to immediately post bail with. When the summons arrives, I find out they will drop the charges if I take their de-abuse classes. So of course I'm going to do this. The wife writes the district attorney saying that I shouldn't be charged. What I did was completely understandable. Etc. backs me up completely. She also blows off the women's help organizations that start sending her stuff in the mail. Says this is nothing to her and she doesn't need or want their help. Wow. So, we go to MC, and the first thing the counselors do is have me write down what I think she did. And she writes down what she actually did. Wife admits to 2 incidences of online affair. And nothing else. Counselors also tell her that all the texting and phone calls also constitute betrayal, but they seem to believe her BS tale of helping a friend. What the hell? She also states that the reason behind all this is me not paying attention to her and feeling neglected. I have to admit that this is indeed true. I have made mistakes there. But still no excuse for cheating. These counselors' attitude is good, and they are helping a lot. But they also seem to think that I should put the questions that I need answered away and forget them. So, there we sit. I am 100% satisfied that the cheating has been over since D-Day. I have complete transparency. 2 months later, a week after my last update, I filed for divorce. She spent the time since then frantically trying to change my mind, but still won't tell the complete truth. I'm done with her. I hate to admit this, but I'm rather enjoying her discomfiture. I did give her every chance to come completely clean. It's been slightly more than 6 months since I busted her out. Plenty of time. At least my conscience is clear. I did everything I could think of to save the marriage. From the stuff I found, I'm damn sure it was more than just online affair. If anyone is interested, I'll kick out the details of the last 60 days or so. Maybe it will help someone else. I contacted each of the OM and told them that I had tested positive for HIV due to my wife's cheating and informed them. When I looked at her phone a couple days after I did that, I found that each of these guys had been trying desperately to reach her. So now I know for sure there was something physical, as I don't believe they would be calling her over that unless they figured there was something to worry about. Also saw that she had answered none of their calls or texts. I hope that at least they wind up having to spend the money and explain to their wives why they needed STD testing. Childish. Maybe. Made me feel better to have done something. Definitely. Compared to my marriage coming apart, getting cops called on me is a trifle to me. Also, I did not go to behind bars. She posted bail immediately. I think you are right in that she knew I would get arrested. Where the surprise came for her is when she found that she couldn't just have charges dropped. In this state, it's the DOESN decision. She is totally financially dependent on me, and for that reason alone she can't afford to have me behind bars and not working, which is why she posted bail right away. As far as more time for the truth, well, I happen to think that I have to do what's right here. I have to be able to go on knowing I did everything possible to save the marriage, as you will see from the above recent posts that I have gotten to that point. That's why the divorce now. Last but not least, I also anticipated about her using that cop as a thing against me. That's another of the reasons I filed for divorce a week afterwards. One other thing I should point out, after D is final, she will lose my income permanently. The funny thing is that she doesn't seem to even be thinking about that. I bet she still figures I will change my mind at some point. I really wish that I had handled this as well at the beginning as I am now. Ever since I got hauled away by the cops, all my love and affection towards her seems to have evaporated. All I feel now is a very deep, cold, yet controllable anger at what she has done to me and the family. This anger has enabled me to make cold, logical decisions about my wife and the future with a real clarity. I wonder if I will ever trust a woman ever again after all this crap. My kid is hers from a previous marriage. He's my stepson. That is the worst thing. I love that kid as if he was all mine. His dad still lives close by, and I get along with him. So I should still be able to be part of his life. That part of all this really burns me. I've been with her almost 9 years, married for almost 5 years. I've been around as stepdad the boy's whole life almost. Wife is disabled. She hasn't worked since 2015. I've paid about most of the bills. Raised a kid not mine for the whole relationship. And she goes and pulls this crap, and is still lying about some of it. What the hell? We don't have anything to split, really. Live in a crappy apartment with bad neighbors. I'll gladly let her have that. Each have a 18-year-old car that runs. I'm just going to take half the money in the bank, my old Jeep, my cats, and my personal belongings. I plan to start fresh. Anything else we have I'll let the judge decide. Everything I have that means anything to me materially, I owned before the marriage in my name. Anything not material was my wife and family, and she destroyed that. I talked to a guy I know who a PA lawyer is, and he got me a long consultation with a family lawyer that he knows. This guy said if that's all there is to it, just file on my own, using a legal aid service and pay their fee. So that's what I did. Cost $165. My comment, a good ending, OP has a better future. With a good job, some savings, and a new life. What more can you ask for? Story 2. I'm not sure exactly why I'm writing here. I'm pretty determined to go through with my divorce, but I guess I'm just looking for some support from others who may have dealt with similar situations. I'm almost 30 years old and have been married for over 5 years, but together with my husband for 10. We have a son who is 3 years old, and one on the way. I found out about 7 weeks ago that he was having an affair, which started while we were trying to conceive baby number 2 and continued after knowing we had succeeded. He even spent time communicating with this woman while we took a trip to celebrate our 5th anniversary and the pregnancy. At first, he led me to believe that it was only a friendship, emotional connection, but as the weeks went on and I was trying my hardest to understand his unhappiness and make the marriage work, more truths were unleashed. He has yet to end this relationship, which I now know was more physical and emotional than originally told. He continued to lie to me about taking time to find himself and instead spending that time getting even closer to this woman. Finally, I put my foot down and packed some of my stuff and my son and left during one of these little trysts. I was hoping to give him the wake-up call that I wasn't going to stick around if he couldn't commit to me. When he returned, I was made to feel like I couldn't return home and that he was ready to move forward with a divorce, taking that for some reason I wasn't wanted after 10 years of what I thought was a loving and full relationship. I filed for divorce. He reacted quite the opposite of what I expected. He came to be falling apart, telling me how he had really screwed things up and he was losing everything we had worked for 1/3 of our lives for. I told him we could go to counseling and try to work on things, but I wasn't ready to stop the filing until I saw real positive actions. Unfortunately, that didn't last long, as only a day later I found that he had brought this woman to stay in my home. He still showed up for counseling, saying he wanted to fix things, but I don't believe a word he says. We have another counseling session today, which I'm only agreeing to in order to try and have some sort of civil relationship for our children. He keeps flipping from being the nice guy and understanding how much damage he's done, to this person I don't even know who is so willing to hurt his family for his selfish reasons. All I really want is for him to commit to one way or the other. I feel like I'm being played. I've always been there for him and supported him, and I know he doesn't have anyone on his side right now. But I also know that I can't convince him to make good decisions. I feel the most anger for my kids. My son has only seen him for about 2 hours in the last 3 weeks, which I'm blamed for, of course. And this new baby who won't even get the chance to know what 2 loving parents is like, and most likely will not bond with its daddy at all. 1 month since I filed for divorce. I keep waiting for things to get easier, but today I've gone from feeling normal and grounded, so just plain sad. I can't help but think about the past 10 years and all the happy things. But the happy things make me anything but happy. If possible, they are harder to think about than the mean and hurtful things. I've been working with my counselor, and I know that I'm not to blame. I know that I can't fix him. I just really can't get past this feeling of loss. I know it should be him feeling this, not me. Even though I don't feel bad about moving forward with divorce, the fact that he hasn't fought for me in any way is so crushing to my soul. To feel so unwanted. To feel like this whole life together wasn't worth anything. Why is the anger so much easier to deal with than the hurt? Even before I filed for divorce, he would discuss a separation with me in a calm and collected manner, in only logistical terms. He felt we could deal with all of this without involving lawyers and wasting thousands of dollars. Knowing that I was at risk due to being a victim and dealing with the emotional situation of being pregnant, I disagreed and got myself a lawyer. I live in Colorado, which is an equal distribution, no-fault state. I felt that everything would be handled fairly. I also wanted to make sure someone had my back in case I felt like I was being taken advantage of. Well, I'm glad I did. My STBXH continues to try and involve me in impromptu conversation about our assets. First it was the house. He wanted to try and keep it, which financially I knew was impossible. Now that he knows better after contacting a few banks, he's moved on to his business. I'm 50% shareholder of that business. I also helped him from the very beginning before it was much more than a few side jobs. Always doing the proposals and invoicing, and tax preparation and promotional marketing. I've even continued to assist in these manners since filing for divorce so that I know the business is being handled correctly. He feels that I deserve very little and wants to buy me out without involving the divorce. All I want is for every piece of our lives to be considered on paper before any give or take is discussed. I only want our divorce to be handled exactly as any other. He's dragged me through the mud so much emotionally with his betrayal and deceit, and I'm trying very hard to not make spiteful decisions, even though I probably have more than the right to do so. I want to be civil for our child, soon to be children, but he's the one causing all the drama. I kind of feel at this point that he made his bed, and if he didn't like the option of divorce, then he should have thought about that before he screwed me over. I'm not trying to be the bad guy, but I definitely am not going to bend over backward to make him happy. I'm feeling really down on myself tonight. I've been doing really good and feeling strong since I filed for divorce over a month ago. When he attacks me or blames me for his affair, I don't let it get to me, but it is waffling back and forth that is really hard. I've tried not talking to him, but we have a 3-year-old and I'm pregnant with our second. We also have a business together, so we have to communicate about administrative tasks and whatnot. Recently, during these basic conversations, he's been sticking little things and placing the blame for us not being together on others. Counselors, my parents, etc. He acts like he wishes things were different, asking why I didn't give him more time to figure us out. Not once has he taken any action to fight for me or end his relationship with the OW. He's been texting me song lyrics or telling me to listen to our wedding CD. When I ask him what's the point, he apologizes, then goes silent. I try not to entertain these events, but it's so hard after 13 years of him in my life to not want him to try. Tonight, I texted him back telling him that as hard as it was for me, I couldn't be his friend right now, but then followed it up with a message about how I missed my husband, implying that he wasn't him. In my mind, I know I'm fooling myself, and I did give him 2 months to at least just stop seeing the OW. All I got was that it wasn't that easy. Some people say that I should have separated instead of filing for divorce, but I really had just had enough disrespect. Is this common for the STBX to do? Is he trying to keep me strung along? Or is it even more selfish of just wanting to know that he still can have parts of me? So, it's official, the O is now living in my home. I moved out almost 2 months ago, but it still stings. This is the home my husband and I signed papers for on our honeymoon, where we made plans for the future, where we made 2 babies and raised 1. I'm currently pregnant. She's moved her stuff in, put her things on the walls, even though the house is on the market. It feels very much to me like staking claim. My son goes there to visit his dad and now has a mommy replacement there too. It's so hard to stay strong and be the mom my son needs. But I know I have to. He doesn't have anyone else putting him first. I know I need to start thinking about me. But wouldn't that be selfish in a situation where my son and soon-to-be-born baby need more than ever? The crazy thing is that my STBXH calls me and tells me that the O is causing lots of drama, fights with him more days than not, and acts childish about his contact with me. Yet, she is still living there. I keep hearing from friends that it isn't going to last much longer. He complains about her all the time. He never complained about me in 10 years. Somehow, I keep hoping this is true. I don't really know if it's because I want him to want me again, or if I think this divorce will be more amiable without the additional conflict. I do know it would be much better for my son. He really needs his daddy right now, and all he's getting is this poor excuse for a father that he has to share with some gold digger. I keep finding myself trying to understand why he's in this relationship, and why he's acting and putting up with stuff that I know wouldn't have flown in our relationship. I don't know if it's the trying to cope mechanism, or just my own need to understand. I really feel that we were happy and was completely blindsided by his affair. I have no doubt that the O is a horrible person from what I know, but I do feel that I probably should let go of all of this soon. We have our parenting class for the divorce tomorrow, and I hope they discuss the unhealthiness of involving a significant other into our son's life this early in our separation. Divorce. I mean, our son is only now starting to come to terms with us living apart, and to have this other situation to confuse him as well sickens me. My H continues to tell me that he doesn't want a divorce. I think I believe him when he tells me that the O is going to be out of our house before the end of the week. He tells me how sorry he is for everything, but that he knows he can't change the past. Part of me wishes that he would just start fighting for me, but I know him and this won't happen. He still believes this all just happened, and I get the fact that I was the one to file divorce thrown at me too frequently. It's good to type this because it helps, but at the same time I can't help but remember my old life. Our situation was similar and different from lots of people here. I was really happy in my old life and completely blindsided by my H's affair. He tells me that he had everything he wanted in life before this happened. But then why in God's name would he have done this to us? After 10 years of a life I so wanted to have, it's over, and everything feels brand new. I'm not scared of it, but obviously like today, there are days when I feel such sorrow for what I've lost. I'm just waiting for the days when I'm happier in my current situation than when I was with my H. Well, Wednesday he called me to talk business stuff, and when I asked if that was it, he was hesitant. He reiterated this desire to be friends and be honest with me about his life so I wouldn't think he was hiding things. He followed that up with telling me he had a date for the following evening. So, he barely has the psycho out of our house. She moved in within weeks of me being gone, and already has a date. Turns out it was with a friend, acquaintance of mine. I took this as a huge bomb. I didn't really know why at first. I mean, yes, this girl was a friend, even on my short list of baby shower invites. So that sucks, but I think mostly I was holding out for him to actually try and fight for me back. I blamed his lying and cheating on the O, now only to realize that it must not have been about her. He must have been willing and ready to give up life with me before he even met the O. I know I'm not to blame, but emotionally this is so much harder than just an affair getting in the way. It means that the relationship we had for 10 years meant so little to him that he couldn't even talk with me about it. He really never did give us a chance to work it out. I loved him so much and would have done anything to make it work, but he gave up on us before I ever had a clue. So now it's about letting go. Months later, well, it's been official for 2 weeks. Divorced. I'm also moving quite along with my pregnancy. 32 weeks. After all the drama in the last 6 months, I'm trying very hard to move forward with my life. Kids always complicate things. XH has moved on twice already and seems to be baffled by my continued sadness over the situation. 10-year relationship is easy for him to leave behind. He acts as though he's entitled to make choices with this baby. I'm not saying he won't be involved at all. I want my kids to have a daddy. I'm just giving myself the bubble wrap treatment, trying to allow myself the closure I need to be happy someday and still have him in my life in a father to my kids way. He's been asking about being in the delivery room when the baby is born. I'm just not sure how I feel about it. I'm trying to learn to make decisions that are best for me, but it's really hard to not see how it would be important to have him bond with the babies in such a way. I don't want any undue stress and really want to have a happy memory to look back on, not one tainted with sadness over a lost life. Am I just being selfish, or does anyone see how this might be for the best? Month later, I've been doing everything I've been told to move on, but acting so cold is just not making me happy. I guess I have too much of a humanitarian side to me, maybe a downfall. I just seem more unhappy being so angry about the situation. I feel like I need to let go. It would be different if I could just walk away and never see him again, but I don't think I'll ever have that option. So, I did ask XH to have coffee last week. We sat down and tried to talk about other things going on in our lives. I gave him some ground rules about what we can talk about and what we can't. I don't want to argue. I just want to begin working towards a healthy relationship for our kids to be around. Given that it is a C-section, I'm not really in need of so much support for the birth of this baby. I think I might be okay with it now. We'll see how things are when it actually happens though. He has expressed the desire to be there for me in the hospital after the birth, which seems good. I have one ground rule for that. No girlfriend is going to be allowed to come to the hospital to see our baby. I think he still is extremely dense about some of this whole thing. When I told him that I was going to try to be nicer and more open about our new relationship, he asked if that meant I was going to be nice and friendly to his GF now. Yeah, small steps. This isn't the girl that he cheated on me with, but I still have a huge problem seeing anyone else in that role with him. She's living in my house and playing mommy when I'm not around, so no, I am not welcoming her into my life in any way. Half a year later, visitations have just recently been getting consistent for our now 3-month baby girl. He picks her up once a week and takes her home for a few hours before I have to drive an hour round trip to pick her up. This I'm fine with. At least he's seeing her weekly now. He wants to up it to overnights, which I've been admittedly against until he proves he can show her he's a primary caretaker. Visitations with my 4-year-old son started off as every other weekend, then we added a Wednesday overnight. And finally at the divorce he asked again for an additional night. So it's weekends overnight every other week and every wed overnight. This has worked out okay, but he continues to push for more time. I know I shouldn't hold the divorce over him. He cheated, lied and treated me like a doormat until I left him last August. Now he's with girl number 2 having a baby boy, using the name I picked out for our kid. Living in my home and still acts like he's entitled to our kids. They are half his, so he should have them half the time. BS. He's not a threat to them. He's an okay father, as selfish never to blame dads go. I've been coping well, feeling very much a good riddance of him not being my husband anymore. But recently I've been feeling very territorial. They set up a nursery in my house for their new baby and my new baby, which burned me. I feel like they are treating my kids like their own, as if they don't have a mother. Then today he texted me asking to have my son one more day every week. I'm not blind to the fact that it's best for a son to have his father in his life. But if I concede to this, then XH would have him 16 days a month and me 15. I knew when I got divorced, I would have to share, but 50% or more I'm just not willing to do. I know it sounds selfish, but in my marriage, I did 90% of the childcare. And now that he has a soon-to-be baby mama, it feels like he's trying to take them from me even more. I'm still single and doing this all on my own, while he gets to have Phil and stepmom take over where I left off. He gets to continue to give less than me in parenting time, but asking to have them more often. I guess I'm feeling robbed of my life and my kids at this point. I really do want to do what's best for my kids. But why do I feel like I'm the only one who's doing the work? As for the house, it is for sale, it's just not moving very fast. We both agree that we don't want to give it away, and I left the house in the first place when I just couldn't take it anymore. So, it's hard to get back in once you do that. It's probably the thing that spurs the most emotion in my now though. Having to pick up my kids from a house that is still mine, but not. The GF has painted every room in the house and it even smells different. It's hard on my son too, he has memories of me and his dad together there. So it prompts the why questions more than anything, crossing my fingers that it sells soon, so I can really move on. My comment: I hope this story is encouraging to some single parents out there. Things can still get better moving forward. Got one more video coming later during the day. Check out the recent videos if you haven't, and see you in the next Love TV.